Hey, everybody. I would love to introduce you. It is my pleasure to have Cheryl Cornelius on today. And she is one of those people that just have a avalanche of energy and interest in being ever present and value driven in the dental community. And as a part of this first ever series of, we don't have a name for it yet, but it's now the Ruben and Cheryl show.
I love it.
Cheryl, I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ruben. It's exciting to be here today and to get to share just value in dentistry. I think you're one of the most like front leading IT. You are not even one of, you are the most front leading IT dental guys in our entire dental world. So it's been my pleasure to work with you over the last couple of years. I can't say enough amazing things about you as well. So, but it's totally like, thank you for asking me to be here today and
Absolutely.
bring some value to these new doctors that are starting out. I'm excited for their journey.
Absolutely. I think we are kindred spirits in that we just love to give back.
Hmm.
We trade who is the most present on Facebook and the dental groups back and forth, depending on when we have time between patients or support calls
Yeah.
or, managing the team. But if you could tell everyone just a little bit about your background, and then, going into, the project you guys recently completed last year, what were some of your biggest successes and biggest failures about that?
Sure. So just the disclaimer is that I'm not actually the dentist. A lot of people think I am. I'm not. I'm married to a really amazing dentist. And so we're a husband-wife team. And originally I was really not going to do anything in the office, but we bought a practice here in San Antonio and it was a fixer-upper for sure. And then like it really actually just needed to kind of be plowed down and started all over. So in hindsight, we would have done a startup. All you startups out there, like I would do that in a heartbeat over taking this practice and gutting it and rebuilding it again. But that's kind of how I got into dentistry, and I knew nothing, had no experience, and just kind of learning. My mantra has been fail forward, fail fast, like or fail fast, fail forward. Fail fast, fail forward. If I make a mistake, like I'll own it, like realize like, hey, wow, that didn't work well. Let's go. Let's try the next thing and the next thing. And honestly, today we have a wealth of information with podcasts and Facebook groups and mastermind groups that we can be a part of that really wasn't here 5 years ago. Like that has just exploded over the last 5 years. And so 5 years ago, it was a much more, you were just on your own, and didn't really have like, even like this thing that we're doing today really wasn't out there. So we had this practice, got it, about like not even 100 patients in it, and then realized quickly we needed to do like marketing. And so I tackled marketing and was getting tons of new patients in the door, which was awesome. I love marketing. Like it's totally I love it. I'm good at it. I love it. And then, but from there, then it was like, wow, we don't have these systems in place. And so really we had to kind of like take steps backwards because we had patients coming in the door, but then they were going out the back door because we were like the attrition was something,
Sure.
we weren't paying attention to. So building systems in the office, which really at that point, and this would be like probably one of the biggest things that for us that helped with success was I sat down and I reverse engineered the entire patient process. So I said, if I was coming to this office, like how would I want to be treated? From when your team, the front office answers the phone call, do they put me on hold? Like, how do they treat me? Like when I ask about my insurance, like how is that handled? And I literally just reverse engineered the entire process from picking up the phone to asking for a review at the very end to the billing department and how all that was as if it was me. Cause I like have a pretty high bar when I go to a medical office, like how I want to be treated. I'm like your worst patient. And in one way that I have a very like high demand, like I have expectations. I'll pay, if you, whatever your fees are, if I've read your reviews and I think you're awesome and I've chosen to go to see you, then, my expectations are going to be high. I'm choosing you not because you're the cheapest dentist or the cheapest plastic surgeon or like OB or whatever it is that I'm going to go see. I'm choosing you because everybody else says you're amazing. So then how am I like, I want to be treated well. I want to be handled well. I don't want to
Yeah.
just be like this number or chart just going through the door.
Right.
And that was really, um, that was just gold for us. Like it really, it just built this energy in our office. Our patients loved it. They went and told other patients about it. Then we started getting reviews, and then that really fed. And I think we have over 650 reviews here. And I think we're one of the highest reviewed dental offices, like originally in San Antonio, but I think we're probably spreading to like South Texas region.
Oh, you guys
But
are
that's
crushing it.
crushing it.
I mean, when
Yeah.
I think of your office, I think marketing is on point, an unbelievable amount of reviews. I don't think I have found another office in there. And then the nuggets that I took away from that were data, right? Pay attention to your data.
Hmm. Yeah.
Cheryl referred to like the churn rate, what we would call in IT, how many coming in, coming out, because I mean, morale is affected when patients
Hmm.
leave, right? You can be successful with working with your spouse. I'm another candidate of
Yeah.
that. Shannon typically works right behind me right now. She's, taking the dogs for a walk, and then also use your nimbleness to an advantage, right? Think of
Hmm.
DSOs or corporations as a cruise ship, and Cheryl, you mentioned failing fast and failing hard. There is a huge advantage into making decisions really quickly, finding
Hmm.
out if they work or not, stop doing it, get over your pride of that, and moving on. So that's what I took away from you.
Yeah, and just building off of that, really two words that I have used a lot is just pivot, being able to pivot and being
Mhm.
flexible, and really like who we're talking to right now. These are going to be very small practices, and exactly
Mhm.
what you said. My husband actually loves sailing, so our entire office we're nautical dental. Like everything is
Yeah.
sailing and ropes and stuff. But exactly what you said, like a cruise ship, like you can't just turn a cruise ship really quickly. If you've ever been on a sailboat, like you move like one mast and like you're just flying a different way, and that's what you have to be able to do. And it can't be like emotional, it can't be, it's like this isn't working, and your team needs to be hearing
Mhm.
that from you as well. Like my team knows, especially through COVID and all of these things that have come our way, it's like, hey, we're going to be flexible, we're going to pivot. What the schedule looked like
Yeah.
yesterday, this morning it totally changed, so we're going to pivot. What does today look like? Okay, let's do that. And if you can do that and be constantly just moving and
Mhm.
looking, like watching like on a sailboat, like the winds ahead of you or the water or the storm that's out,
Yeah.
and being like, oh, that doesn't look good, or oh, hey, we just got through this and it didn't feel good, let's just do this over here, rather
Yeah.
than just expecting it to fix itself, because I can tell you from experience, it doesn't fix itself,
Mhm.
and you just continue to go downhill from that. So
Yeah, yeah, and that can just be making going to work every day just not as great of an experience. So, kind of along the way, were there any either like dental groups? There's 1,000 of them out
mhm.
there. Podcasts or books that you would recommend
Sure.
that helped a lot?
Yeah. So my favorite book in the world is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I actually just listened to it again recently. The obstacle is the way. And if you can get and figure out like how to get around it, over it, under it,
Mhm.
that's where your success is at. If it falls in front of you and you just give up and you're frustrated, and then your team feels it. I mean, we're the leaders, like, for us, hey, I could literally say like I'm captain of the ship. Like it's like I have to make sure that every person here has that energy and feels like, okay, like this is an obstacle. COVID is an obstacle, guys. Like we're
It
all
is.
dealing with it. But you know what? Like we can come out on the other
Yeah.
side and survive, and actually not just survive, but thrive from that. So my first and favorite, oh, go ahead.
I was saying we get the fun problems, right? And I think in the beginning I did a really bad job at just getting frustrated every time there was an
Hmm.
obstacle. And I finally got to a certain point several years ago where I started seeing those as opportunities to train somebody.
Hmm.
And I actually got this from someone. I don't have children myself, but I actually got this from a parent who was like, they're describing their child and their behavior, and they were like thankful that that opportunity came up, and they were also
Yeah.
talking about like either a racial issue or some sort of societal problem that came up on the news, and that again was like an opportunity for them to be teachers. So
Hmm.
I think it also will affect your happiness, just like the mindset of something comes your way, you're like, oh no, not another thing, or like you can get yourself into the where like if we can get through this, we're going to be a better company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first, that's my favorite book. Second is Grit by Angela Duckworth. I make my kids read these books actually. So I believe in it
Yeah.
so much. My teenagers all have to like go through these books. Grit, it takes grit. It is like, I kind of just reinforcing what we've already said. It's not easy. There's days you want to just throw in the towel. We don't just come to work, clock in and leave and go home. Like you come home and you got to go through it. Like, I mean, whatever comes up. So Grit's amazing. I love that book. And then my third top favorite book would be The Energy Bus by John Gordon. You mentioned earlier, I'm a ball of energy. People need that. Like people need someone that has that energy because they're taking it from, like, I'm giving pieces of my energy to everybody on our team. And, you
Yeah.
know, just, I think that there's a lot of it. It's a short, the Energy Bus is a really fun, I listen, I don't actually read any books. I do Audible listen, but
Mhm.
it's a great short book and I love that as well. As far as my Facebook, my favorite top two favorite Facebook groups, Dental Nachos is my top favorite.
Yeah, Paul
Um, I
Goodman.
I love Paul Goodman. My kids call him Uncle Paul. We saw him. We were up there last year. Has it been a year? Yeah, I guess it's been a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's awesome. He does a really good job, I think, of really keeping everybody. You know, the JBN just be nice. Like we're all
Mhm.
there. We all are coming together. Like let's give what we can. Let's help each other out. So I appreciate that he has that. Another great Facebook group, DSN, the Dental Success Network with Mark Costas. That's an amazing group,
Mhm.
incredible resources. You know, I've actually been in Dr. Costas's mastermind for the last number of years.
Mhm.
I know that's a pretty expensive like commitment to go to, but Dr. Costas is he is just one of the most amazing human beings that I've ever met. And his desire to give back and to teach is just amazing. He's an incredible person to sit under and teach. And then the resources and the people that have, you know, been joined forces with him is just
Yeah.
a wealth of information. So much of what I've learned has really, like my dental knowledge and my learning in all of like just skills have come from that. So
That's awesome.
huge shout out. And DSN would really be the first step. I know the mastermind group is a higher level, of course, but that the
Yeah.
DSN is like, that's where like non-negotiable. You're definitely
Yeah,
worth it.
and when I think DSN, I think what we talked about data. I think about people
Hmm.
that are very analytically driven. They pay attention to their
Hmm.
numbers, and that group really, I think, probably the most focused business leaders I've talked to have been a part of that group. I think about Dr. Joseph Lee down in Jacksonville,
Hmm.
Florida, Bill Keith, just to name a couple of
Yes.
people. These are people that
Yeah.
are paying attention to what's going on and very successful people.
Yeah. And you know, all of us are using practice analytics with Jake Conway, and that guy, he's a
Mhm.
rock star and he helps you with your numbers. So if you're a doctor that's like totally afraid of the numbers side of the house or you don't understand it,
Mhm.
I mean, Jake has held me accountable month after month, and really like helped me. I mean, when I kind of connected with that group a couple of years ago, our overhead was at almost 80% and it was killing us. We were paying to go to work
Yeah.
every day. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
I could brag of things like we were a multi-million dollar practice, we were getting 100 new patients a month. Like I could give you all these stats that sounded amazing, but yet
Yeah.
at the end of the day, our overhead was so high that we were drowning and we were dying. And so getting, you know, working with
Mhm.
Jake and having him give me the numbers every month and
Mhm.
really like diving into the data, you have to be
Mhm.
data driven. And I'm not like, I have learned to understand and love data to it really allows you to make these quick pivots or changes. And then, you know,
Mhm.
when you have these dentists, that there's like hundreds of dentists that are, you know, all coming together and we're working together in the same place, the data that you have from all these other offices, so like
Mhm.
what is average hygiene pay, what is average overhead, what should your supply fees be, what should your payroll costs be, like you can kind of start to get really good averages and numbers to you, so you can be like, oh well, for me it's going to be this. Well, really, is it? Why? Like, and maybe it is, and maybe you can dig down and pinpoint, okay, this is why, and that's okay. Or maybe you're just making excuses and you really need to take care of a huge problem that you have over here. So I mean, working with Jake, I got my overhead from about 80% down to like we're at 47% now.
Holy, that's incredible. I mean, and
Yeah.
is it more fun to come to work now, knowing that
I love,
you're not in
yes,
this like vice grip of
it is.
overhead? Yeah.
It is. It really is because at the end of the day, you're the owner, and at the end of the day, like it all falls on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And so, we've all worked really hard to we get where we're at. We've sacrificed. I mean,
Mm.
with dental school, I mean, hundreds of thousands of
Mhm.
dollars, and then we bought
Mhm.
practices. So we're sitting at like millions of dollars of investment between education and practices that we have. And then you come to work and your overhead's 80%, and you're like, I thought like this was supposed to be like this great life. Like I
Yeah.
can't even stay ahead of it. And as a dentist, like you're producing, especially when you're starting out, like your hands are the hands that are making the money and making everything go. But there's all these other moving parts that have to be happening. With Jake, he's able to just say like, hey, let's look at this area over here, and it would never even be on your radar, but when you break it down and you're looking at like line
Mm.
item by line item, and you have these reports, and you're like, oh my gosh, who is spending all this money? One of the things for like when I
Yeah.
took over operations manager in our office, one of the things that it wasn't even malicious. People were just like had signed up for everything and turned every subscription on, and we weren't even
Yeah.
using stuff, and it wasn't like embezzlement or people were taking something from us. Just everybody said yes to everything. And I'm like, what are we paying
Yeah.
for? Like, why are we paying for this?
Yeah.
And it was
And
like a
it's
phone call to the
wow, it's unbelievably common. I mean, I think back to many of you know that my dad is a general dentist here in upstate New York, and he had like given his assistant a budget to spend on scrubs, and for some reason she thought she needed to spend the entire budget every month. Like you have X amount of dollars, you have to spend it all, where like she was failing or who knows. So that was like one area. It's like we don't when he walked into the to the break room and he saw let's say 1,000 pairs of scrubs. He was like, wow, I guess there's a problem here. We don't. um, so Cheryl,
yeah.
I know you're a busy woman. I appreciate you coming on here. Is there any kind of last tidbits of wisdom for a young doctor looking out to hang their hang out their shingle for the first time? And if someone wants to reach out to you, and what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out to me. Probably, I mean, you can ask Ruben for my phone number. He can give you my cell phone. Texting directly is
Yeah.
totally fine. Facebook Messenger is good. Probably those are the two best. Emails, I still have a lot of emails, so not the email route. But as far as words of advice, um, we're we have an incredible uh, field that we're in. Dentistry is amazing. We get to change people's lives, and I think like viewing it, like connect yourselves with people that have high energy, that have like failed in front of you, and just learn from them. Like if I could have connected myself or hitched my wagon, I think, right, hitched my wagon to some of these people that I am with today 5 years ago, it would have saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. um, IT is actually a great example. And over here with you, Ruben, I mean, I was with another IT company before Darkhorse, and it was a dental specific IT company, and it was a complete disaster at the end of the day. And Darkhorse literally came in and like saved us. And oftentimes like patients or doctors will call and be like, should I really go with Darkhorse? Like, are they really as good as a race us? And I'm like, let me tell you my story. Like, let me tell you what happened. Like it finding the right companies to work with that are going to really help you succeed as a company is super important. So I think like kind of the groups that we mentioned earlier are great
Mhm.
resources. And huge shout out to Dark Horse. Like, you guys are amazing. I'm a lifetimer for
Oh,
Dark Horse. So
well, thank you
um,
so much, Cheryl. I mean, you joined back in the early days where I would come out personally to the offices. Now,
yeah.
because of COVID, I had to come out a couple weeks ago to Arizona. But besides that, this is my world. This is my chair. But it was really awesome to come out and meet you and Eric in person, really hear your story. And I think we've really been connected ever since then. And you're going back to the energy comment. I kind of think of you like a celebrity or like a star NFL quarterback. When you enter the room, that you can just feel your presence, and as you like flow through the room, you just like it's just like it's happiness, it's radiance, it's confidence. And that's why I've always been just like attracted to being around you, just because your personality is infectious, but also you have just an amazing amount of value to offer the dental community. And just thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. I love giving back.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's the
yeah,
best thing that I could do is help others because
yeah.
I love all the help that I've gotten. So, I'm a wealth of information,
Yeah.
but I definitely love helping out. So feel free to reach out and if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cheryl.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Ruben.